What's good everyone, it's your boy Yadig, 4 Eyes, 2 Gs here, and today we're here to talk about Travis Scott. Now, if you guys are unaware, Travis Scott is being sued by KontrolFreek, the popular video game performance gear manufacturer, for these Cactus Jack thumb grips that he kind of produced for his popular Fortnite gaming event. Now, I'm going to break down everything there is to do with this lawsuit that we know about, because I think this is super interesting, and there's a lot of nuance behind it, and it just goes to show that Travis Scott's team put minimal effort into it and just made like really stupid, silly mistakes that kind of contributed to this all right here. So I want to break it down. Let's go.
I'd rather go make it with my day ones. Fresh onto the feet, you ain't gotta say no. But if the dream come true, you ain't gotta say none. You know that we just coming from the pavement. Fuck the likes, I'd rather money. Niggas is flexing while niggas are hungry. Tryna go get it at 3 in the morning. Niggas are choosing and picking an auction. I know one thing, my brother, my sibling, no one.
Okay, so let's read through this article by page 6, which you can see right here together, which reads, video game company sues Travis Scott for ripping off controller design. Now, I'm going to get to this graphic in a second because this is so funny, but let's just read through the introduction for it. Firstly, a top gaming company is suing Travis Scott, alleging that the rapper was all thumbs when it came to knocking off its joysticks. Get it? Thumbs grips. That was pretty good. Anyway, Scott and his Cactus Jack label are being sued in federal court by KontrolFreek. Now, if you guys aren't aware, KontrolFreek, as I said, they're kind of like a performance gear gaming company, mainly known for producing these little thumb grips that you kind of put onto controllers for better grip or like better accuracy, as I say. They also produce other things, but for this case right here, this is the most important thing to note. Okay, let's continue reading on, which claims in court papers that when Scott performed a series of virtual concerts for 12 million fans via the video game Fortnite in April, that he and his team were looking for an opportunity to offer Cactus Jack branded gaming merchandise as part of a tie-in. Now, this of course references the very popular Travis Scott Fortnite collaboration event, which I'm sure you guys remember. This was a huge hit. I almost can't believe that this video right here basically has 100 million views, plus on top of that, more so than the 12 million they mentioned in that article, apparently over 27.7 million unique players in-game participated in the event live. So yeah, this was a huge moment for everybody, clearly brought in a lot of money, and was clearly a massive success as far as everybody was concerned. So that's kind of like the backstory to it all. So let's kind of continue reading on. This, as I said, KontrolFreek makes thumbsticks, etc. Now this is the most important part here. The company contends in its lawsuit that Scott and Cactus Jack, quote, reproduced KontrolFreek's copyrighted photos of its product and merely modified the images, even superimposing the Cactus Jack logo design over the top of the KontrolFreek thumbstick to hawk them for the Fortnite concerts. Now, this, as I said, references this image right here, which is fucking hilarious. Look at this. They've just taken the KontrolFreek designs, literally just photoshopped them, put the Cactus Jack logo over them, and just called it a day. Now, whoever was on Travis Scott's team responsible for this is like beyond silly for just ripping off photos and kind of photoshopping it in this way. And I don't know how they didn't think they would have got caught. It's clearly just a lack of foresight. My guess is it's probably someone who doesn't know a lot about KontrolFreek, someone who just doesn't know a lot about like Fortnite and kind of like the gaming industry in general, because they thought they would actually get away with this and they didn't realize how popular and how well known KontrolFreek would be. I'd imagine this would be pretty obvious to anyone who's kind of savvy in the industry, and clearly was obvious enough to the people of KontrolFreek. So yeah, that's kind of like the first thing off rip, but trust me, it gets even funnier. Have a look at this one right here, and they've done exactly the same thing. As you can see on the right, the infringing photographs were taken from Travis Scott's actual website, and they've done the exact same thing. They just ripped off the KontrolFreek photos, which of course, it goes without saying, are copyrighted, and you just can't do this as a company, let alone a multi-million-dollar company like Travis Scott is. Basically a company at this point, or a brand or what have you. You just can't do this. And to take it like this and to just superimpose, as I said, your own logo over the top, change the color, and think that's going to be the end of it, just a lack of foresight and just a really dumb mistake. But it gets even funnier. So let's continue reading on. The company, which has a community called Freak Nation of over 4 million gamers, claimed that Travis Scott's ad caused confusion that the rapper and KontrolFreek were working together. Now, this is a really good point and a huge argument to make. Again, if I was kind of wrapped up and heavily invested into the gaming industry or something like that, and I kind of saw these photos, I could easily confuse it as a Travis Scott and KontrolFreek collab, which apparently, as was mentioned later on, people were actually doing. And this was clearly a vocal point for KontrolFreek, as they made a point of mention it in the lawsuit documents, which you can read right here. Defendant's use of the infringing photographs, which I mentioned earlier, and the Control Freak trade dress in this manner constitutes the use in commerce of a word, term, name, symbol, or device which use is likely to cause confusion or to cause mistake or to deceive as to the affiliation, connection, or association of the defendants with Control Freaks. Now, defendants in this case, of course, references Cactus Jack and Travis Scott, or as to the origin, sponsorship, or approval of defendants Cactus Jack Thumbsticks by Control Freak. So essentially they're saying here, people saw these photographs, it's reasonable to assume that they would think that there's possibly a collaboration or an affiliation between Control Freaks and Cactus Jack, or possibly Control Freaks approved the use of these photos, which in this case they clearly didn't because they look similar. So yeah, that's clearly a point that Control Freaks kind of honed in on, and I can understand why, but we're going to touch more on that in a second. Let's continue reading on. The company further claims in court documents that Scott this is the best part. The company further claims in court docs that Scott and Cactus Jack had not yet manufactured the alleged knockoffs, but then after Control Freak contacted them about its concerns in May, quote, defendants asked if Control Freak would be willing to manufacture the Cactus Jack thumbsticks for defendants and at no cost. Okay, so let's just break this down just in case you kind of don't understand what it's saying here. Essentially, what happened here is someone at Travis Scott's label has taken photos that were done by Control Freak and copyrighted, and then basically slightly altered those photos, which again are copyrighted and you cannot legally do, to alter them to include the Cactus Jack logo. Now, more so than this, when Control Freak reached out to Cactus Jack at that time, like, what the fuck is going on? Why did you use our photos? Cactus Jack, who at that time had not yet manufactured the thumb grips, said, our bad. Actually, you know what? Do you just want to produce the thumb grips for us? You know, we did kind of steal your copyright. We did steal your photos, but you can just produce the thumb grips for us. No extra cost. We won't pay you or anything like that. How does that sound? And obviously, Control Freaks were not exactly enthused about the idea. As it goes on to say right here, the parties did not speak again. But Control Freak claims that when fans later received the Cactus Jack branded controllers, consumers complained online about quote-unquote the poor quality. One buyer apparently commented that Cactus Jack thumbsticks were not like normal Control Freaks. Now, this is super important to hone in on. As I said earlier, it's easy to confuse the two because you see the similar photos and you kind of think, hey, Cactus Jack is doing a collaboration with Control Freaks. Why this is super bad is because if people do confuse this as a collaboration with Control Freaks, but as it says right here, they're poor quality and they're not up to the standard of a Control Freaks, then that kind of makes Control Freaks look bad and kind of tarnishes their own brand for no reason or no wrongdoing of their own. Plus, on top of this, they're not even getting money for it. So yeah, that kind of creates another layer to this problem just outside of the whole copyright issue there. And this is not all. This is also super funny. Okay, let's read this paragraph right here. Control Freak also claims in its suit that the packaging for Scott's product was in copyright violation. So not only have they taken their photos, but they also took the packaging, including using the Control Freak slogan, plus identical bullet points touting the thumbsticks merits. Now, when you actually have a look at this, this is hilarious. Also guys, before we get onto the packaging and kind of compare it, I want to give a couple quick shout outs to some recent followers. Big shout out to Sunday.brunch, and also shout out to Peter DeLone for following me over on my IG. Much appreciated, you too. If you guys don't follow your boy, man, at your dig, make sure to go drop your boy a follow and show me some support over there. Always much appreciated. But let's get onto this packaging right here. Now, this is a Cactus Jack packaging. I'm going to take a look at the front and the back and see if you guys noticed any similarities. Big one that stands out right here, gives gamers at all levels a competitive advantage. TM. Cool. Wow, Cactus Jack really killing it. Control Freak gives gamers at all levels a competitive advantage. No, you can't do that. Then on top of that, this is the saying on the front of it, guaranteed to increase accuracy and performance. TM. Wow, Cactus Jack. And then the Control Freak one, guaranteed to increase accuracy and performance. No. No, you can't do this. Like, how did they think in any way, shape, or form like they would get away with this? Like, how? So not only did you take the photos, as I said, you took the packaging, and on top of that, you made a poor quality product, according to people at least. So yeah, I don't know how they thought they would get away with this, because this is so clear as day. Again, I'm not heavily into the gaming industry or anything like that anymore, but if you kind of see these slogans that have been used by Control Freak and now you're seeing them on the Cactus Jack box, it's reasonable to say that someone might assume that this was a Control Freak's collaboration. Okay, so let's continue reading on. Control Freak lawyers want Scott to fork over his profits plus damages and also want Scott to destroy the remaining stock. Now, it's important to say in this article right here and no other article I could find, it does not list a dollar amount that Control Freak are going for, but in my opinion, it's definitely safe to say it would be hundreds of thousands at the very least, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was millions, because it's not only profits, but it's also the damages that it kind of did to the copyright and to the brand of Control Freaks, because as I said, people may have assumed that this was a Cactus Jack and Control Freaks collab. So yeah, definitely hundreds of thousands, and I would not be surprised if it was in the $1 million range. The court papers obtained by Page Six, again shout out Page Six for this article, were filed in the Atlanta division of the Northern District of Georgia, and it also goes on to say that Travis Scott and Control Freak were reached out to comment on this article right here, but they didn't get back to them or they didn't comment on it. Plus, on top of this, it also mentions this very successful Travis Scott meal at McDonald's, which was recently launched. So as you can see right here, and just based off the facts that we have for this case right now, I would say that Travis Scott and Cactus Jack are clearly in the wrong, especially in this case when they clearly just stole the photographs from Control Freak and just kind of photoshopped the Cactus Jack logo on top of them. Then on top of that, they used two of the slogans that Control Freak have used on their packages in the past. Yeah, they clearly didn't put a lot of effort into hiding it, and as I said, if I was to guess, this was probably done by an older person who kind of didn't understand the ramifications or didn't understand like how big Control Freak were and kind of how noticeable this was, because to anyone with two eyes, this is just so obvious. Like, if you steal trademarks and you steal copyrighted photos, you're probably gonna get caught up later on, especially when it's someone as big as Control Freaks. So yeah, in this case, it clearly seems as though Travis Scott and Cactus Jack are in the wrong, and unless something else comes out that kind of exonerates Travis Scott and Cactus Jack in this case, I would guess that they're just gonna have to pony up and pay the money. But yeah, let us know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Again, make sure to follow your boy on Instagram if you don't. This type of stuff is always super interesting to me, and it's just funny kind of the lack of effort and the lack of foresight in this case by the whole Cactus Jack team. Let us know what you guys think, and as always, if you haven't, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications. Always appreciated you watching, and there are more videos of mine on screen right now. Make sure to check them out if you haven't.